Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I beg to move that the Health Service Commissioner for England Complaint Handling Bill be read a third time. And I'm delighted this bill has reached its current stage. My honourable friend may feel it's minor. I don't think it will be minor to the people whose lives affects, whose complaints are dealt with more quickly, and who will feel they'll get closure more briskly as a result of it. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank colleagues who have been supportive throughout it, especially colleagues who helped me take the bill through the committee stage, and colleagues today who have helped me meet some or all of Eric Forth's 6 rules of good legislation, because I think that is important and it is something that we should bear particularly in mind with private members' legislation. As a number of people have said, the raison d'etre of this bill was originally the Sam Morrish case, but by no means only the Sam Morrish case. Every single one of us has cases in our constituency where this sort of issue is important and recurrent with many of our own constituents. But it's worth recounting the Morrish case because it does highlight the issue very well. In June 2014, the Health Service Ombudsman published its report on the investigation into the care and treatment provided to Mr and Mrs Morrish's son, who tragically died of septic shock on the 23rd of December 2010 at the age of 3, after a whole series of avoidable errors. In the 3 days before he died, his family dealt with a cricket field surgery, Devon Doctors Limited, NHS Direct and the South Devon Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust. We're talking about different organisations being involved. All of those were involved and all of those failed in their duty to young Sam. His septic shock was misdiagnosed several times as he passed through the system, and each of those stages that went wrong should have been corrected straight away or as soon as possible thereafter. In the report into Sam's death, the Ombudsman also highlighted the lack of action being taken to save the lives of people who are suffering from sepsis. And this is the key point here, that the Ombudsman's action is not just to meet the complaint, but also to prevent it happening again. She stated the case demonstrated the failure to diagnose rapidly and treat sepsis can have tragic consequences. The Ombudsman crucially found that Sam had failed to receive appropriate care and treatment, but had he done so, he would have survived. Now, while the contents of the report eventually were commendable, it took the Ombudsman more than 2 years to investigate and report on the National Health Service's handling of Sam's case, and during that time, a series of factual errors were made, which Mr and Mrs Morrish repeatedly had to correct themselves. It must have been awfully painful, and that's the other half of this which we can't address in this bill today. As a result, the Patients' Association, which supported the Morrish family in their complaints, said the Ombudsman was not fit for purpose, and she herself personally apologised to the family. She said, "We took too long to investigate this case and made errors in the draft report. I recognise the family's experience of us has contributed to their distress." Let's put it mildly. As my honourable and right honourable friends will only be too aware, Sam Morrish's case, as I said, is not a singular case. It's one that comes up time and again. And the stringing out of complaints in the NHS only causes further distress to patients and their families. Now, there is also a very real danger that such delays lead to underlying problems that have caused them remaining unaddressed and uncorrected. And when things do go wrong, it's vital that lessons are learned, and by improving the Ombudsman service, we make a small step to ensuring that such lessons are learned. Now, although the Ombudsman is committed to change, which will require them to meet a timetable, if they do not, to explain why, future management may not be as good as I think the current management of the Ombudsman Service is. And this is why this legislative backing is provided. And it is just backing. It's just the guarantee. It's just the thing that gives the power to the organisation to meet what should be a self-evident aim. The bill is straightforward, simple, not that minor, but absolutely non-partisan. Has wide support through the Health Service, the Ombudsman Service, and has been supported by all sides of this House. The simple aim to improve the effectiveness of the Health Service Ombudsman, who is the final tier of the National Health Service complaint system, is often the last port of call for distressed patients and families. The bill achieves this goal primarily by requiring that when the Health Service Ombudsman takes action, they do so with a view to concluding the investigation into complaints within 12 months. And if that timescale is not met, they must explain why to the complainant. This is a first step, this bill. I expect in the new Parliament we will see a complete review of the Ombudsman Service and the complaints mechanisms that feed into it. And that will be an unalloyed good for the delivery of public service, for the government departments, who themselves are, as my honourable friend said, too often too slow, too unaccountable, too prone to excuses, and not sufficiently committed to delivering the service our constituents want. And that's what this bill intends to do. The current Ombudsman, Dame Julie Mellor, has done, in my view, a very, very good job. This is to make sure that that job is reinforced and continued in the generations to come. Thank you.